VAPT Consulting Limited has been founded since 2009, and we are known for expertise, great skill and services, and the very unique solutions that we sell. So some of the services we do is the IT operation management, the IT SIM tools, the security tools. Some of them are known for, Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we stopped hearing you. Please go on.
Okay. So I think before we go on, is Dami here? Damilola Oyedepo.
Yes. Good afternoon, Amanda.
Okay. Good afternoon. So Dami Oyedepo is the product manager for VAPT service. He'll be speaking on fortifying our cyber defense with VAPT service. So Damilola, can you go on, please? If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat box. We attend to them one after the other. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda, for the brave introduction. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for sparing your time to attend this webinar. So I am here to shed light or enlighten you all on how to fortify your cyber defense with VAPT. Okay, firstly, let me first introduce myself. I am Oyedepo Damilola by name. I work with Promethean Consult. I'm a certified penetration tester, trained certified ethical hacker, and also I have a certification in CISSP. So permit me to share my screen, and please confirm if you can see my screen. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you for the response. So first, we made a survey, market survey, and we were able to get some basic questions in which we would like to answer in this webinar section. So first, we'll start with the brief introduction to VAPT and its importance. Then also, I will shed light on the difference between VA and pen testing, which most people always confuse both of them, or people use them interchangeably. Also, best practice for conducting VAPT. Also, how to interpret, prioritize VAPT results. Then the real-world examples of VAPT in action. Strategies on how to remediate and prevention of vulnerabilities that are found during VAPT projects. There's some necessary compliance and regulatory bodies that you have to meet up through CBN or different bodies. Then discussion on the role of VAPT in overall cybersecurity plan and strategies to integrate it. So firstly, the introduction to VAPT. What is VAPT? We know is an acronym which stands for Vulnerability Assessment and Penetration Testing. So many people, they have different definitions of VAPT. But it is a process for scanning for vulnerabilities and exploiting them to evaluate system entire posture. So let's take it both of them. What is vulnerability assessment? Some people will just say vulnerability assessment has to do with just scanning for vulnerabilities, but I do not completely accept that, because vulnerability assessment also deals with also risk management and risk interpretation. While penetration testing is checking for this possible vulnerability, then attempting to exploit this vulnerability using real-life attacker scenarios. So yeah, in a pen testing project, we are trying to mimic what an attacker actually do in real-life scenario, how they can be able to compromise your organization, how they can be able to compromise cybersecurity framework like the confidentiality, availability, and integrity. So what are the importance of VAPT? And greater security insight. To be honest, there are some organizations that they don't even have a complete inventory of their assets, and they don't even know the current posture of their security. So with the help of VAPT, it gives like a greater security insights to your overall security posture. Also, ongoing risk management. We know that in cybersecurity framework, you have to do the risk identification, the risk analysis, and risk mitigation, or the risk treatment. So VAPT fall in place in risk identification. We know that we have scenarios of, we have what we call vulnerabilities, we have what we call threats, and we have what we call risks. So, vulnerabilities, we all know that vulnerability exposes organization to threats. Then threats are like malicious or negative events that take advantages of this vulnerability. So risks, they are like the potential for loss or damage when threats do occur. So in a VAPT exercise, we are able to identify these vulnerabilities, these threat vendors or attack vendors, and also give you like an estimated risk or risk impact score, which will rank high. Hello? With high or with medium or with low vulnerability. So also ability to meet regulatory obligations. Most financial institutions now, it's mandatory for them, especially if you're doing PCIS or ISO certification. Sorry, I guess I'm hearing some background noises. I don't know who that may be coming from, but if that person can just mute his mic, I really appreciate it. And so ability to meet regulatory obligations. So like I was saying, ISO certification, ISO 20701, PCI DSS. Also, it's mandatory to run a VAPT project or a VAPT exercise for this. Also, it's for financial institutions, especially bank institutions. It's mandatory for CBN now that you must be compliant, and also reduce risks of non-compliance. There's always a fine put in place for being non-compliant. So with the help of VAPT to identify these risks, and it will help you to avoid fines or extra charges incurred for being non-compliant. Then enabling the business to better protect the system and data from malicious attacks. Uh, Sorry, please. I don't know where this noise is coming from, but uh, maybe the person
Oyedika,
can.
Oyedika, can you please mute your mic? Thank you. Then you can continue.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Yeah, so please, can you confirm if you can still see my screen?
Yes, we can. We can then.
Okay. So yeah, there's a difference between VA and pen test, like I said earlier. So vulnerability assessment is non-intrusive, which means it's people tend it that it's kind of safe because you can do just a credential scan and it won't flag record or flag any of your security solution in place most times. Also, it has a very wide scope. You can decide to do a VA scan on almost all your critical, your assets, or a very wide range of focus. And then the starting point for security testing, for every VAPT project, you must actually first run a VA scan. Even for a penetration test itself, you must first run a VA scan where you can identify this vulnerability, especially when you're doing a network pen test or VAPT. The mix of interviews and tools. But a pen testing project, some organizations, when they are doing their pen testing, they focus on white box, which means they ask for credentials, but some mainly run on black box. We are committing, we deal with all either white, black box, or gray box. And this can be much more inclusive because if you're asking for a black box pen testing, we have no insight of the organization, we have no information of anything. So yeah, just signing that, okay, we can try any of any possible attack method or any possible means to compromise your network, either by availability vulnerability, confidentiality, or integrity. So there's actually a probability that we can run a DOS attack or a DDoS attack on it, which can cause downtime, which can be intrusive in nature. We can do brute force attack, although there can also be a scope saying that, okay, we don't want any destructive or intrusive attack on our critical infrastructure. You can select that, okay, this particular server, this particular environment, and you have to neglect some particular attack vectors on them. So also narrow focus. Some organizations just say, okay, we are just launching a new app. We want you to run a VAPT. Sorry, please, can Miriam, please, can you help me mute your mic? And then, okay, thank you. So, narrow focus. Some organization might be launching a new application or a mobile application or web application, or they are adding a server to their network and they want to run a VAPT on that particular web application or that particular mobile application, either the APK or the iPad, and they want to run a pen test on that. So that is also acceptable. That is a narrow focus aspect of pen testing. Then advanced security testing. So more often in a VA scan, we use automatic tools like Nexus, like Akinetics, like Qualys Guard, like Fortify on demand. But in the pen testing, we use combination of automatic tools and manual tools. The essence of that manual tool is that when you're doing a VA scan doesn't take note of some actions like business logic or logical flaws. You can't do that in a VA scan. When you pen testing, you can do logical flaws, which means someone can be able to bypass your web application by just simple manipulating of strings, which VA scan might not be able to detect. So these are some of the advantages of pen test, or the difference between VA and pen test. Also, report on exploits. In the penetration testing report, you actually see how we're able to exploit to transfer machine if possible, if it's exploitable. But a VA scan will just show you the vulnerability, how to mitigate it, and maybe a short description of the vulnerability. But in a VAPT, comprehensive VAPT report, you see the step-by-step in which we took in order to exploit this particular vulnerability. And this will give you like an oversight. You can be able to track from the initial point of entry, you can be able to track how we were able to do privilege escalation or elevate privileges. So this will help out in putting security controls or security measures in place, and then heavy use of security tools. So like I said, we in a pen testing project, we do what we call manual penetration testing. So we use tools like the Shodan, we use like the network mapper, we use tools like Sniper, we use tools like Bobsuit, like we use several tools, and also we use human knowledge and the act of just manipulating different things in order to come up with, or in order to achieve our aim of bypassing maybe authentication or something. So best practice for conducting VAPT. So what are the steps in conducting a proper VAPT project? So first, we need to define the scope of the work. So first, we need to know if it's a white box, a black box, or a gray box. Also, the list of IP addresses or the list of web applications that we are going to run a pen test on. Then also we need to know what kind of pen tests are we doing. Is it network pen testing? That is it within the organization network or network infrastructure? Is it cloud pen testing? Is it on mobile application? Is it on web application? Are we including physical security? Are we checking for blind spot? Are we checking for your NAC? Some people set their NAC. How many minutes can a rogue device last on the network? Can we go to bypass this security thing that you have kept in place? Also, the physical security. Can we bring in our own system and interconnect to your network without being detected? So these are things that will highlight the scope of the work. Also, we go to the vulnerability identification, then the analysis, where we'll be able to prioritize the risks for you, and we'll also give you like a risk treatment plan. We all know that some risks can, due to one reason or the other, you just have to accept the risks. For example, now you're in a banking sector and then you have a banking application that is calling for third-party APIs, maybe like with NIBs or with virtual card. We know that sometimes some of these virtual card or core banking application, they use kind of weak ciphers algorithm because they prefer speed to security. If they use things like GCM, uh, cryptography or cipher, it can cause slow or a delay when calling for API, and it will cause network issue. You try using your card to make purchase and it's very, very slow. So those are things that organizations just have to accept. Uh, they will not be able to replicate this risk because it also has to do with third party being involved in the application. So you can also transfer it to third party, like insurance. You can transfer your security risk or security posture to another third party or outsourcing firm to handle this type of risks if the cost of the risk is far above what your organization is capable of at that moment. So while performing the assessment of pen testing, and the scope of the assignment needs to be clearly defined. I've spoken about this. Okay, the methodology. When testing, we use open source security testing methodology. This is a framework or a guide for pen testers on how we do it. So the first stage is the reconnaissance stage, which is the active and passive. So active, we make direct contact or direct engagement with the organization assets to check for, to gather much more information or much more insight on the organization structure. And while passive, we just use things like Martigo or any Google search engine or Google Doc in order to get much more information about what we're actually going to, the organization itself, the organization asset. So vulnerability assessment, then the manual penetration testing, and the report generation. I tend to tell people something. The main value of a VAPT project is the report. And the report gives so much, like it's not about what you exploit or if you're able to compromise my organization. Is the cocoa is the report. Can I have an insight of the vulnerabilities that I've seen, and can you give me a proper way to remediate it? I know everybody wants to save costs. So the recommendation, we give a recommendation based on your current financial status and based on your organization posture itself. We can't give a recommendation that you should start getting tools like IBM Curator, and we know that, okay, your rate of return is not to that, because licensing for those things are as much as $80,000, $100,000 per year, and you are just SME. So we give recommendation based on what we feel that can help at that moment. And we can also give further recommendation that, okay, if in case this fits your organization needs, you have the financial capability for this, we recommend you get this to this, or we recommend you implement this particular security control to be. So interpreting and prioritizing VAPT reports, you prioritize your threat responses based on vulnerabilities for which exploits are currently happening for. Like I said, we give time frame for it. Every critical vulnerability must be remediated as soon as possible. So we give timeline for it. For critical, it should be remediated less than 30 days. For I, it can be less as much as 45 days or 60 days. For low, for medium. So we have to give like, okay, which of these vulnerabilities should you put much of your focus on at this particular moment? And then let data drive your decision making. Maintain fluid response priority list to allow inclusion and proper ranking of emerging threats. Keep an updated inventory of critical assets so you know precisely what the risks are and when attackers are most likely to take in. Let me just give a quick scenario because of the time. There was this organization we did a VPT test on. The timeline for the test was actually a month, for a month and plus. We're trying on our best to actually compromise it, but they actually had a tough security. But with, let's say, luck came at our side, and their license for one of their security products just failed, like it expired. So we did that type from within just about 3 days of them renewing. and the license, we're able to exploit it. And so with VAPT, actually, when we give you the results, we'll be able to say that, okay, this actually this of your security solution is what is actually covering this vulnerability, and you should actually take note of this particular security code and solution, ensure that it doesn't lapse or it doesn't expire or it goes, the license doesn't get exhausted for any reason. Also, continuous using of security assessment and response prioritization model rather than current startup model. And so, real world example of VAPT in action. We know that most organizations, every time they always sending phishing link or social engineering attack on the organization. I like MasterCard for one thing. They employ hackers. I'm also one of them. Uh, to send spam or phishing link to as much as their staff members and anybody that they actually pay or they give reward for whoever phishing link that their employees are able to succumb to. So that is one actually great technique in order to curb or reduce the risks of the social engineering. And we can't underemphasize the need for continuous training and development of your staff. When you are doing onboarding or recruiting new staff, they must go through security awareness, they must go through security training, they must go through phishing exercises so that this will give it this. Because to be honest, no matter how security controls you put, just one successful phishing attack can actually compromise your organization completely. So the use of social engineering technique to access system and related data. Even I don't know if you guys knew about this last year that just passed. A certain bank, their database administrator, they sent this set of group of hackers. They created this job platform, very attractive salaries for them, and they even went as far as doing some interviews for the staff, and they sent a malware through offer letter. Nobody will see offer letter or not click on the offer letter. So that was one reason why how they were able to compromise the organization. Even Cisco self, when Cisco was being compromised also, it was through phishing attempts. They used a call to get OTP to be able to bypass from one of the administrators. Uh, so also the use of unencrypted passwords shared with the network to access sensitive data. To be honest, if you go to sites like Avibe, check your office email, check so many things, you see that some organizations, their password has actually been compromised. Their password or their credentials are being sold on dark web. So with this VAPT, we have unlimited subscription and access to this dark web to help you check or run on your organization if you guys are actually your credentials or sensitive information are actually being sold or being passed on dark web. So in part, VAPT service helps organizations pass certain compliance based on industry and security requirements. Strategies for remediating and prevention of vulnerabilities found in VAPT. Asset discovery and vulnerability identification, implementation of security controls, patch management. Most vulnerabilities we actually see, they are either due to outdated software or lack of patch missing. And I tend to understand some organizations, their patch solution only works, only Windows-based patch solution, so what's mostly your Windows. So most of their Unix or their Linux-based system are always running with outdated software and outdated software or applications running on it. So that is fine, but there are some other patch management or patch solution that actually works with that. If you're looking at cost, then you have to know that the cost of when you're being attacked, the coverage for that attack is actually more than the cost you spend on remediating or getting a new patch solution. As far as within your budget, I actually always advise organizations to actually go for. There's no security that is too much for an organization. Either you are somehow first level 1, level 2, level 3, up to level 4, different security posture or solution put in place, and continuous monitoring and change management plans, and then also incident response. Doing a pen testing, a VAPT pen testing or project, you will be able to ascertain or validate your SOC or your NOC team, because we're actually doing mimicking attackers. So you know if all your SOC or NOC solution, your monitoring solution, they are working in place. can you be able to detect that okay, an attack is going on in real time? So these are some of the major importance of things in or benefits you get from doing a VAPT project. Then compliance and regulatory requirements for VAPT. Like I said earlier, we have the ISO certification 2701. You need to do a risk identification and or a risk management, and actually VAPT is actually needed. A pen testing project is needed. At least some will say you must do it quarterly, but at least once in a year, you must do a comprehensive VAPT project. You can do a VA scan monthly basis, but a comprehensive VAPT project must be done at least once in a year. PCI DSS, these organizations that do with card or card processing, you need to be PCI DSS compliance and you have to do VAPT. Uh, Most of all these IPA and all these things, they are mainly for different countries like Europe and the US. But the main focus in Nigeria, we have the ISO certification, we have the PCI DSS. We also have the GDPR, that is General Data Protection Regulatory, and the NDPR, Nigeria Data Protection Regulatory. So role of VAPT in the overall cyber security plan, I've started this to integrate it. So to be honest, VAPT is actually cost effective compared to how much you tend to recover from data loss or something. Just imagine your organization is being hit with ransomware attack. Do you know how much you have to pay for ransomware? If you even decide not to pay for ransomware, do you know how much it take you to recover back all your information, even if you have backup? That time already that it take you for you to be for you to that downtime alone is costing you a lot of money. Also matures your security program, quickly respond to threats. Like I said, when simulating a VAPT project, you check how your SOC team and your network team are able to identify and respond to threats, are they able to block our attacks if possible, then gain operational efficiency, enhances visibility and reporting, maintains compliance requirements, integrates with patching program, they establish trust with clients, and automate scanning and patching. So thank you so much. I hope I did not bore you with my presentation or with the quick webinar. Any question?
Thank you so much, Damilola. Yeah, so there are some questions in the chat box. I'm just going to take them one after the other and you respond accordingly. Okay, so the first one we have from Ifedayo. He's saying, how will the VAPT service integrate with existing security processes and tools?
Sorry, I did not really hear your question. Let me check. Okay. How will the VAPT service integrate with existing security processes? Okay, like I said, VAPT is like your vulnerability assessment and penetration test. So you already have your security tools in place. So now we are going to confirm or verify to you, or we try to bypass this your security.
Sorry, Damilola, can you
posture on
speak
the security.
up? We can't. Can
Okay,
you
can
speak
you
up
hear
a
me now? Is
little?
that fine?
Yes, clearly now.
Yeah. So, okay, your organization has already kept their security processes and tools in place already. That's fine. You have your defense layer. Yeah, you have everything set for you. Try to bypass our work. The goal of it is it works hand in hand because you are like the blue team and we are like the red team. The organization might have their own internal red team, but them they already have visibility of the network. They already know the processes that you have kept in place already. But we don't know anything. So we are like the outsiders, the real life attackers. So we try to exploit this your existing security processes and your solutions that you've kept in place. And if we're able to successfully bypass it, we give you reports. Even though we are not able to successfully bypass this, but if we find vulnerability or we find flaws, and we know that okay, there are some vulnerabilities that require expertise in JavaScript to be able to prepare or do this exploit. And we know that okay, we don't have this at that. we actually let you know that, okay, it's possible to breach this your security tool or this your security gap by this method. Someone with a deep knowledge of JavaScripting or someone with a very, very deep knowledge of Python can be able to do so and so to be able to bypass this your security posture security measure. Though we attempt to do it, we attempt to do, but this is cybersecurity, this is ethical hacking, it's very broad. There are so many ways to bypass a lot of things, and then no man has all the knowledge. So there are some attacks that will be Java-based scripting, which we might just be focused on Python-based scripting to create shell also. So I hope that answered your question, Fedayo.
So Ifedayo, can you indicate if that answered your question? So we can move on. Okay, let's move on to the second one. And this is from Elvis. He's saying, what are the expectations for remediation and follow-up after the VAPT is completed?
Okay, so when we send this report, we give our guideline remediation and we give recommendation. We also give, if you need it, we give a remediation plan because you can't just do all the remediation. So we give a plan and we give you how you can undergo this. So after you have done the necessary remediation, we offer to freely retest to which is a package among our VAPT package, like a special package. We do a free retest or free revalidation to ensure that, okay, what your team has actually remediated actually has been done. But do you note that there are some organizations that their environment is dynamic in nature? Remediating one vulnerability can open for another vulnerability. That is fine. Like, as far as there are changes happening several in the organization, it doesn't mean that you do a VAPT today now. You have remediated it today. You not do a VAPT after 3 months, you not still see vulnerability. And you not say, oh, you did not do your good work. That is now it's done. Your environment is a dynamic environment. Things changing. You're adding new server, you're doing other configurations to it. So we might pick up another vulnerability later on in time. And so that is why it's always need for you to do a continuous VAPT project. It's not something that you just do one off and say, okay, I've done this pen testing, I am clean. Also, going forward, every month, there are some attackers that their job is just to sit down and think of or create exploits and to learn to bypass on. So, what's an application today that is not vulnerable? Coming next week, it can be vulnerable, or it can have vulnerabilities like remote code execution. So, you need continuous to do a VAPT project on it. Elvis, I hope I answered your question. That. Okay, so what is the budget and timeline for the VAPT project? Okay, the budget and timeline depends on the scope of engagement. I think that's when it comes to budget, that's to do with our sales team. So you can reach out to any of our sales team or Sharon to go further on that. Uh, so what do you mean by use of encrypted password? Shared in the network to sensitive information to access sensitive data. Mr. Wale, please, can you just, I don't really understand the question you asked. Please, if you can rewrite the question for me, because I don't really understand the question you asked. Damiela, please, can we get the slides and recording after this session? Yes, that's fine. I'll share the slides and recording for you. What type of assets will be included in the VAPT scope? Every type of asset, software assets, hardware assets, your physical security, your wireless, and it all depends on the scope and the budget you have for the VAPT project. Okay, so Mr. Wale, please, I'll be expecting if you can write your question so I can understand it. Or maybe you can reach out to me. I'll drop my email so I can be able to answer your topic. Because I don't really understand the question you actually asked. Is there any other question from anyone? Okay, I have a question here. What network control measures would you recommend to strengthen network security of an organization? Okay, first of all, I would have to access your organization first and see what are the present network controls you have, and do you have NAC put in place? While your password, are they encrypted? Or what is your password rate that you use? Those are some of the things I have to check. Also, the authentication and the authorization. These are some of the things I have to access. Before I can do that, I have to conduct like a DPT project on it. So Victor will be able to respond to that.
Okay, so I think just see one more question. Okay, so I think that's all. So if you have any questions or you have any need to know more, plus our budget on VAPT, you can reach us at sales@prometheanconsulting.com. sales@prometheanconsults.com. It's going to be in the chat box very soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Do have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Trust, financial losses, and even legal repercussions. This is why it is crucial for businesses to proactively identify and address vulnerabilities in their IT systems. This is where vulnerability assessment and penetration VAPT is a comprehensive approach to identifying and addressing vulnerabilities in an organization's IT infrastructure. It helps organizations minimize the risk of a data breach, improve incident response, and increase efficiency. Don't wait for a security breach to occur. Invest in VAPT today and protect your business from the potential consequences of a cyber attack. In today's digital age, businesses rely heavily on technology to store and process sensitive information. But with this reliance comes the risk of cyber attacks. Hackers are constantly finding new ways to breach a company's IT systems and steal valuable information. And when a security breach occurs, the consequences can be devastating. Loss of customer trust, financial losses, and even legal repercussions. This is why it is crucial for businesses to proactively identify and address vulnerabilities in their IT systems. This is where vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, or VAPT, comes in. VAPT is a comprehensive approach to identifying and addressing vulnerabilities in an organization's IT infrastructure. It helps organizations minimize the risk of a data breach, improve incident response, and increase efficiency. Don't wait for a security breach to occur. Invest in VAPT today and protect your business from the potential consequences of a cyber attack.
Okay.
In today's digital age, businesses rely heavily on technology to store and process sensitive information. But with this reliance comes the risk of cyber attacks. Hackers are constantly finding new ways to breach a company's IT systems and steal valuable information. And when a security breach occurs, the consequences can be devastating. loss of customer trust, financial losses, and even legal repercussions. This is why it is crucial for businesses to proactively identify and address vulnerabilities in their IT systems. This is where vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, or VAPT, comes in. VAPT is a comprehensive approach to identifying and addressing vulnerabilities in an organization's IT infrastructure. It helps organizations minimize the risk of a data breach, improve incident response, and increase efficiency. Don't wait for a security breach to occur. Invest in VAPT today and protect your business from the potential consequences of a cyber attack. In today's digital age, businesses rely heavily on technology to store and process sensitive information. But with this reliance comes the risk of cyber attacks. Hackers are constantly finding new ways to breach a company's IT systems and steal valuable information. And when a security breach occurs, the consequences can be devastating. Loss of customer trust, financial losses, and even legal repercussions. This is why it is crucial for businesses to proactively identify and address vulnerabilities in their IT systems. This is where vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, or VAPT, comes in. VAPT is a comprehensive approach to identifying and addressing vulnerabilities in an organization's IT infrastructure. It helps organizations minimize the risk of a data breach, improve incident response, and increase efficiency. Don't wait for a security breach to occur. Invest in VAPT today and protect your business from the potential consequences of a cyber attack. In today's digital age, businesses rely heavily on technology.
Mr. Wallace, sign up.